Good morning and welcome to our lunch and learn on safety. We have three presentations in this training series. The first one obviously is on preventing rollover and backover and runover accidents. The next one is on power line strikes and accidents in road maintenance, and our final one is on emergency preparedness. So if you are interested, be sure to attend those other two as well. You don't have to register. Once you're registered for this one, you're registered for all three. You will get a separate Zoom link sent to your email. So my name is Pete Torla. I am working for the Center for Technology and Training, and this is one of our LTAP trainings. And with us today, we have Matt Portfleet. He's actually a Michigan Tech employee, but a different department. So he's going to provide the training for today. Towards the end of the training, I'll drop in the chat how to get yourself self-certified that you have attended, and also the ability to fill out our class evaluation. And just a final few notes for interaction. So if you have a question, a comment, throw it in the chat. If you prefer to be more anonymous, you can put it in the Q&A. But you also could send that chat message directly to just the host and panelists. So with that, I'm going to step off the screen and let Matt take it away. Go ahead, Matt.
Thank you, Pete. I appreciate that. Well, good afternoon. My name is Matt Portfleet. I work in Michigan Tech in the Mine Safety and Health Department here. We are a MSHA, if you're familiar with mining, is the Mine Safety Health Administration. We are a MSHA-funded program to provide training to mining companies and contractors to deal with mining companies around the state of Michigan. So most of what I'm presenting today is going to be from the mining industry, from that side of our construction aggregate industry. But obviously, same equipment, same thing applies across both mining, which is under MSHA, federal, and OSHA, with most of you out there in the construction and other industries there. A quick introduction to myself. Again, my name is Matt Portfleet. I think I've been with this program now, I think it's year 13, doing safety training. Worked underground mining for a couple years in a very small mine in the western Upper Peninsula of Michigan, copper mining, and then worked downstate around the Grand Rapids, Michigan area in construction, mostly industrial, commercial, large project construction down there with a small contracting firm. And then also, on a side note, just interest here in the summertime, I do training in the winter, and summertime I actually run underground historical mine tours in the western UP of Michigan at an old 1850s copper mine, working alongside National Park Service. So if I do a few of these, you'll probably get a few stories now and then of dealing with the younger generation, college age students or workers coming in with our project there, which still has a lot of the same hazards, even though we are on the tourist side of that. But this is a challenge sometimes, but a fun challenge, dealing with some of the newer workers that have different experiences, and some of our more traditional, like legacy workers have been with us for a long time. So that being said, if you do have any questions, please feel free to add them to the chat here. I'm happy to answer them. I'd much rather spend some time answering questions than talking to a screen here the whole time. So if you have questions, please say those and let me know. With that, I want to get started. We're going to talk today about rollovers, backovers, runover, similar accidents. Again, these are going to be mining based, but again, same equipment across both our industries here. But I'm picking a lot of my information today from what we call fail notices or fatality alerts from the Mine Safety Health Administration. They publish these every time there's a fatality with the idea that for training is going to help other people like yourselves not make the same mistakes that way. But the first slide it didn't work there, man. The first slide I want to show you here a minute. Get my clicker. There it goes. I always like starting with this when I have a new group. And it's always fun to kind of make fun of yourself when you're a safety trainer and you're supposed to be a person teaching people how to be safe. And this is my personally owned JCB skid steer upside down in a hole in the backyard, in a hole in the back of my house in Upper Michigan here. So I'm going to start with this. And just as a good example of how, even though someone like myself, who in theory should be more safe and not make mistakes, and we talk about safety training all the time, still distractions, new pieces of equipment, other things like that lead to errors, and why it's always important to wear things like seatbelts and make sure you have a safe workplace. So quick, just an introduction to the accident here. Obviously, I'm standing here, so no serious injuries. I wasn't wearing a seatbelt, which I guarantee you saved me from being ejected out the side window of that JCB. When that went over in that pit there, it went pretty quickly. And then when that grapple bucket hit that bank on the far side, it came to a pretty abrupt stop. With a seatbelt, not a big deal. Without it, it would have been a very, maybe not life, maybe not a fatality, but a pretty serious injury, probably going through that side window of the machine. But just to talk about things like situational awareness, task training and new equipment, just paying attention to your surroundings, things like berming around a hole in the ground, which I did not do here. So we were actually working, clearing some land here. This is an old mining site. You can tell by all the poor rock there they had used for backfill. And during the day, before the accident happened, this was in the evening, there was a very large, bright yellow excavator sitting at the edge of the hole, digging that material out, using that to landscape around the site. That nice, clean, crushed rock there, which we realized was a lot of backfill around our site. We were digging it up. And then at the end of the day, guys operating that went home, and myself, my skid steer, I had a lot of brush moving things to move around, and I decided just to go sit here. It was about 8 o'clock at night. This was a brand new JCB to me. I think when it was turned over, it had less than 50 hours on it. So a brand new machine upside down in the hole here. And I previously had owned an old Scat Track, open air cage, noisy, all mechanical controls, just no AC, no ventilation, just a very noisy machine. I was used to that, ran that for about 10 years. And just acquired this, and I was like in heaven. This has AC cab, it's all quiet, all insulated, glass windows, it's got Bluetooth radio in there. And I was working by myself, hauling brush with a grapple, and enjoying all the new features of my machine here. And when I first did this, I thought to myself, being a safety trainer, I should pay attention to this, that there's a giant hole inside here. But I know where it is, I'll be careful of that. But carrying brush and a grapple is hard to see. But the very couple of times I did this, right next to the hole, I was very cautious. Okay, made note. I got a pile of brush here. I've got a good 30 feet between that pile of brush and the edge of the hole. As long as I stay close to my pile of brush, I'll be safe. I got a big margin of safety there. We're okay. But then as things like radios and nice air conditioning cabs distract us, make us a little bit less situational awareness. And in hindsight, it's almost comical. What happens to a brush pile when you spend 2 hours putting brush on it? It gets bigger. And it spent the evening doing this for about 2 hours, and then all of a sudden I went to turn around, felt the machine shift a little too close to the hole, and as soon as I felt that, I knew immediately, like, you freaking idiot, that your benchmark for your safety is not the same place it used to be. You're moving it, you're making that pile bigger, and the machine ended up where you see it there. But just again, I want to make fun of myself to say that yes, we all make mistakes. It's easy to do, but it is overly important. In this case, myself, new equipment. I'm not paying attention like I normally would in my older piece of equipment. I'm on a site. I'm not taking the time. I'm by myself. There's nobody else involved. I'm not, putting some barriers up or cones or markers to designate a hazard. I'm, not really. I'm tired. The other thing is 8, 9 o'clock at night. I'm tired. I'm not as alert as I should be. I'm working all day, and this is in the evening, trying to save some time here. So a lot of things to be cautious of, and just keep in mind as we go through some more fatalities here. So I want to start with this fatality alert. I want to compare this to one you just saw. My JCB upside down the hole, probably a bigger impact than that compactor there, but the difference, I was wearing a seatbelt. And yes, ideally, we need to prevent rollovers. You don't want to tip a machine over in the first place, but we are human. We make mistakes. So we always want to have backup processes, procedures, protocols in place. So when we do mix up, this guy backed off the edge of the road there, just so, easy thing to do. He's compacting a road, machine went over. And these are the accidents that should be like myself, where my friends get to make fun of me. They get to make fun of myself, being an idiot sometimes, not paying attention, turning machine over. In this case, though, no seatbelt. As soon as it went over, he got ejected out of the cab and then got crushed by the rollover protection on that cab when it landed on top of him. So I can't emphasize that enough. In our program with mine safety, we teach miners throughout the whole state of Michigan, about 3,000 or 4,000 a year. And we limit our classes to about 30 people. And every time we do a class, we'll talk about seatbelts, and you'll ask questions and answer. And every single class, there's always 1 or 2 guys, usually sitting in the back, old school guys, and they're like, I'm never going to wear a freaking seatbelt. I hate those things. They're uncomfortable. And, I want to be able to jump out of the machine in case it rolls over. And there's still that mentality out there. But if you yourself had a mentality, or coworkers, if nothing else, look at the statistics, look at the number of fatalities. This one here, another one, Dozer. Those roll cages are amazingly strong. I have a whole presentation I use in classes sometimes where it's just about 24 pictures of equipment that have been terribly mangled and over, edges and high walls and banks, but the roll cages survive. And the guys are probably a little banged up, maybe injured, but they're going to walk away from that or survive the accident because they're strapped into this big steel cage. That's what they're designed for. But if we don't wear a seatbelt, then when we do make a mistake, we make an error, there's no chance of survival. This one that rolled over, I noticed there's a misspelling there. It rolled about 50 feet, it's supposed to say, down the embankment there, but the miner was ejected from the cab. And again, a rollover on top of himself and his own machine. Another one's going to show you, I forgot about another one there. Same thing happened 2 days after this, different mine site, exact same situation though. Very similar Dozer, guy rolled over, again, not wearing a seatbelt, was killed. So I can't emphasize that enough. The very starting point here, just wear seatbelts, pay attention to surroundings. We'll talk about distractions later, things like cell phones, things like radios. Cell phones are probably one of the best life-saving devices on a mine site for be able to call for help, emergency response, things like this are also probably the leading cause of injury and fatalities on mine sites, distractions. We have to have that wherewithal to be able to put it down. If we can't do that, then we need to turn off, put like in the glove box or someplace in the machine. If we can't resist looking at it, then do something to prevent that. Make it hard to get to your cell phone so it's still there in case of emergency, but not a distraction in front of us all the time. Going on a minute here, another fatality. This happened just last year. Talking about rollovers. And this is a guy, if you read it, 46 years old. He's been driving for 19 years, hauling sand, gravel, aggregates, different sites. Very experienced. He's got a nice truck, personally owned. He's got one of the end dump, longer trailers there. And I can say I've never personally driven one of these with the very long end dump trailers. But we all know, like just looking at the design, they are unstable, need very level ground. But what happened in this scenario here? And if any of these, by the way, if you're interested, if any of these fatalities, if you want to get more details or use these for training in a class, go to the MSHA website, which is a Mine Safety and Health Administration website. It's just msha.gov. Type in MSHA on any search engine, you'll find it. And you'll see on their homepage there a fatality count. That's kind of sad, but a little icon there with how many fatalities in the mining industry so far this year. Click on that and it'll bring you to every fatality for the past like 30 years of mining, all chronological order. You can search them by like equipment, rollovers, those type things, but they are unfortunate, but very good training tools of what not to do situations like this. But the background story here, and this is something I could see all of us doing sometimes. This guy had got a load of aggregate. He was heading out from the pit across scale. When he got to the scale house, they weighed him, realized he was quite a few thousand pounds overweight. And like, no, we can't send you out. That's actually too much material for the customer. And plus it's way overweight for DOT. So we got to get some gravel off there. So he elected to go back to the pit. He actually, from the best we can tell, because he unfortunately was deceased, he elected to leave the tailgate closed with the idea of tipping that bed up, getting some of the aggregates to fall off the back of over the tailgate, probably get some, a few thousand pounds of weight off that, then dump it down. And my assumption is that he actually probably turned that cab 90 degrees so he could probably get a little better view of doing that. We can look outside window and see how that gravel's coming off. And again, it's hard to have a question and answer here, but what happens when you have a trailer like that and now your fifth wheel hitch is turned 90 to a trailer? You lose all that support. Those fifth wheel hitches, those couplings, they're made to articulate front and back, so you can go over, hills and dips in the road. They are rigid right to left. But when your truck is turned 90, now you have no support in the trailer. There is no rigidity right and left. In that style trailer, it's still gonna be unstable even if the truck was straight. But the other part of that is now when he does have a tip over accident, which should be, scary, dangerous, but not a fatality. But when the truck turned or the tractor turned 90 to that, the top of the trailer went on top of the cab and killed him instantly when it landed on top of him there. So this, again, situational awareness, look at the whole picture. In training classes, sometimes I'll use a video, especially in what we call new miner classes for new employees coming into the mining industry. I have a video, it's actually about an ice climber, which may say, why are we watching video on ice climbing in our training class? But it's telling his story about doing all these, everything from climbing glaciers and icebergs down in Antarctica to climbing Niagara Falls in the wintertime. But he has a great kind of mental approach. He says that, I go through every time I'm doing something like this, I go through every couple minutes running scenario in my head, this algorithm of what could happen in the next 2, 3, 4 minutes that could kill me. And if that happened, how do I not die? And he always jokes saying it's really a pessimistic, it sounds very pessimistic, but no, actually, I really love what I do and I want to keep doing it. And that's how I stay alive and able to do what I want to do, is I run this scenario in my head of, what could happen. And if it does happen, how to not die. Again, that's an ice climber, but it relates to everything in our industry. Look at that situation, look at that guy driving a truck, what could happen? Well, I'm doing kind of a dangerous operation here. I'm going to have a lot of weight at elevation, trying to, get some gravel out there. Probably is not a good idea in the first place to try to dump it over the tailgate. But if I'm going to try this, I definitely don't want the cab turned 90, so in case it does tip over, I end up getting crushed by my own trailer here. So, keep that situational awareness, looking at the whole situation there. I put this one in here just as something, these fatalities that we, you look at, like, how would that happen? In this, we don't know the whole story, because actually the guy who did this was killed. We never got nobody saw it happen. But another end dump trailer, the best they could tell in the investigation was he went to dump it, and he walked out to look at that. The guesstimate is that one of the pins or the tailgate didn't release, and he went to get a stone or hammer and go knock one of the I think it had air release pins on trailer. And when he did that, it worked, the tailgate opened, and he was instantly buried in how many 30 yards of material somebody's in that trailer, and engulfed him in that sand. Something you wouldn't think about happening, but he was just there in a hurry. I should probably lower the truck bed down first, then open the tailgate, fix that, but no, I'm going to do it while it's at elevation, and did that, and that trailer emptied in a matter of seconds, and before he get away, buried him. The sad thing here, this happened very early in the morning when it's still dark, about 4 o'clock in the morning. A couple truck drivers that drove by commented that for an hour or so, the truck was sitting there with a truck bed up, and they didn't know why, but nobody stopped to investigate. And they didn't find the gentleman in the sand until about 11:30 in the morning. So he was there for about, many hours, buried in pile of sand, no chance of recovery there, before somebody actually took the time to stop and investigate too. Which is another thing. If you see things that seem odd, see things that don't seem right, stop, take a minute and look and see what's going on there. In this case, there's only a few minutes of possible chance of recovery there, but if nobody stops and looks, there's no chance at all of getting something out of that. Going on here, I want to look at runover accidents. These accidents happen when people are around equipment. And I want to really emphasize, if you have new employees, new people on site are not used to equipment, we'll talk about that more in a minute, but, make sure you do training, make sure you spend time training them, letting them understand, how poor the visibility is on equipment. You look at that loader sitting there, like, it's glass, all around the cab, big mirrors. It probably has maybe even cameras for backing up. The operator should have a good field of view. In this case, this was a dimensional stone operation, and they were taking those pre-cut blocks there and then cutting them up farther for customer specifications. And this loader operator was bringing a pallet of stone there to a saw there. Oops, what did I just do? Sorry, Pete, I hit the wrong button there. I got to advance that slide now. I just got to get back to that. Oh, thank you. Pete saves the day. So I don't have my task train done for my right here. Well, in these two pictures, you can see, so on the right-hand side there, you'll see that loading platform, that small picture where the loader was going to set that pallet of stone. In fact, you probably can't see it, but there is a very small, or a small picture of a pallet of stone there up on the right. So you can put another pallet of that stone there. But the main picture there, that is the loader operator's view. That's what he can see. That's in that same loader. They recreated the accident scenario, kind of looking at what he could see. And unfortunately, what happened here, they had a new employee who was on job only for a couple of weeks. And he trying to be a good employee, trying to do a good job. He saw there was a couple of stones or rocks sitting in the middle of that location where we're going to put the pallet. He thought I should jump down there and move those quickly. So it's got a nice level ground, get those remnants out of the way so we can set the pallet down. And I'm sure in that new worker's mind, it's like, it's daylight, it's sunny day. I've been plain sight here. The guy's coming loader. There's no way he can't see me. I'm just going to move these. And then when I get them moved, he can set the rocks down. And, I want to be a good worker and they'll thank me for doing that. And instead, loader operator never saw him. The loader operator is coming in from a ways away in a straight line. He wasn't turning corner. And as he was approaching there, he never saw the new worker jump down in front of there or do anything and just set the pallet rock down. And actually wasn't even aware he did that on top of a person until another coworker started yelling and screaming at him that he just crushed a new worker there. So a couple things here. Avoiding runover accidents. I always say don't just discuss blind spots. If you have guys that don't operate the equipment, hopefully the equipment operators, they should know what they can't see. They operate the equipment every day. But if you have other non-equipment operators, like this new employee at this dimensional stone place, spend half an hour, take them around the site, have them sit in the equipment, spend the time to do that, sit in that operator seat, look around, raise the bucket up on that machine and see what how limited visibility is. When there's a few big conferences, I know there's we go to one called Mine Expo in Las Vegas, and there's the other big, the Con Expos out there for equipment. Mine Expo is obviously for mining. But one of the things I love doing there is going around the expo, especially the giant, they have 340-ton rock trucks in the Las Vegas Expo there. It's a huge amount of equipment they bring in for this show, but is to go around in the equipment and sit in the cab, which they let you do, which is an amazing experience because you can go and, any piece of equipment pretty much made for the mining industry is there, and sitting there and just look around. And I've done a lot of times taking my cell phone and taking the video just from the operator's cab, looking around and then standing up and then taking the same video when you can see more things. It's terrifying, honestly. It's terrifying how limited visibility they have. And those big haul trucks, which are probably bigger than most construction sites, but on mine sites like the Carmoose limestone mines near Rogers City or some up in northern Michigan here, they run 400-ton rock trucks. With a 400-ton haul truck, you cannot see a full-size pickup truck in front of that haul truck for at least 80 to 100 feet away, which is hard to believe. You would never think that there's a pickup truck driving across there, that driver couldn't see you, but the driver cannot see a full-size truck until it's close to 100 feet away. The other thing too is always have a protocol of how you approach equipment. There's always this thing people say well, make sure you make eye contact. I've worked underground a lot. That is a horrible recommendation, especially underground mining, where it's poor lighting conditions. The operator of that underground equipment, the same thing at nighttime at a construction site. When they're looking ahead, they have those bright, LED or halogen lights in front of them. And they look to the side or to back up and turn around. And I guarantee you, I've done it myself. You can look right at something or somebody to the side. You do kind of a habit, but you're going from the bright light to the dark. Your eyes can't adjust that fast. You really can't see it. I had a older skid steer I used to bring underground the mine here, and I wedged that thing into a low spot in the ceiling. I did turn around. I looked when I backed up, and I'm like, oh, it's clear. And I backed it under a spot and actually did a whole lot of damage to the roll cage. Took us a while to get it out of there. And yeah, I know. I remember looking and doing that. But with that light to dark, you cannot see. The other thing is, even in daylight, making eye contact. As a guy just saying hello, good to see you here, whatever. What we do, even our site with the tours, a little bit of equipment we have, where I always recommend, is make eye contact, make radio contact. But then if you want to approach, have a protocol where the operator, hands off the controls for a minute, so the person can see. I see you see me. I see you've got your hands off the controls for a second. You're acknowledging that I want to approach. You're not going to touch the machine, and I can safely approach. But have protocols like that in place and enforce them. Encourage people to do that. And I know your old time equipment operators are going to complain and say this is stupid, but just keep working with them, keep explaining, keep encouraging them to do it, and eventually it becomes a new protocol and everybody does it. Nobody thinks twice about it anymore. This is I want to say, I forget, I think it's a 200 or 240-ton haul truck. So again, a large haul truck compared to maybe construction, but would be small for a mine site. But just for demonstration, that's this was put together by MSHA, the Mine Safety Health Administration, after an accident in Michigan, showing what the operators can and can't see. And the haul truck driver, sitting in the cab of that truck. He cannot see any of those vehicles, not in the mirrors, not looking outside the windows. They're all blind to him. That skid steer is right in on the right-hand side truck. It's right in a blind spot where the cab pillars block the view from the mirror. He can't see through that. And the truck behind him is just too close. You see those signs on the highway trucks where it says, if you can't see my mirrors, I can't see you. Same thing with that truck. He's just too close to be able to see. And people in front. Again, that operator for that size truck probably can't see a full-size pickup truck to 50, 60 feet away. And pedestrians staying there is no way in heck he's ever going to see him. It's just not possible. And this I want to share is unfortunate. This happened in Michigan. You may have seen this in news, 2018 up at the limestone mine up in Cedarville in northern Michigan here. And this was a terrible accident. Actually, it was a mine foreman. She was driving the pickup truck that was crushed. It was nighttime, and a lot of factors here to happen this. First of all, scheduling, which is wholly on the mine operator's fault. She worked an entire day shift. The nighttime supervisor didn't show up or had something happened. And the mining company asked her to do a nighttime shift too. So she's been working 10 hours already. Now they want her to work another 10 or more hours right through. She's not used to that. You're dead tired already and expecting to be up like, all night again. I think it's happened, I want to say at 3 in the morning. So that probably a time when she was absolutely dead tired. They don't know for sure. They think she may have actually been, have like stopped to take a nap in her truck. She was probably absolutely dead. It was raining. The truck driver went to back up to a loading point. You'll see that rock wall behind that was a secondary crusher. The mechanic shift on staff that night, they elected to shut down the primary crusher to do some maintenance and start the secondary crusher. Did not inform anybody, so even the mine supervisor who was killed was not aware they had switched the protocols. So when she parked there, in her mind, she parked by a non-operating piece of equipment that was a big landmark. It's obvious where it is. It's a safe place to park. And unbeknownst to her, they suddenly decided to switch which crusher they're using and change protocols. Truck driver came up to dump a little rock, backed right over the truck. The guy never even knew it. Killed the supervisor. She was a wife with husband, couple kids at home. No chance of survival in that. But had no idea. That truck had backup cameras, it had lights, everything else on it. And when they recreated the accident, even the investigator said there was no way in heck the guy would have seen that unless he was staring at the camera the entire time without ever looking at anything else. It was just too dark, too rainy, too hard to see. The white truck blended in too well to that kind of limestone material there. If she had a flasher on truck, we don't know. The flasher was destroyed. They don't know if it was turned on or not when it happened. But the sad thing here is too, obviously you had a fatality, really disrupts the family there. And then the driver, who was deemed not his fault. He had zero fault in that, could not see that truck there. He left job that day, never came back. He swore he would never drive a piece of equipment again. He was just, it killed him with the guilt of knowing he did that, even though it really was not his fault whatsoever. But again, combination of things, poor mine management protocols, working double shifts like that, nighttime, not enough lighting around to see things. Other accidents here, things that happen. These are next couple of accidents. Our operators are using, again, loaders, but in both cases, traveling with a bucket too high. You've probably heard this over and over and over again. Keep the implements low, keep attached with loads to the ground, for stability for one thing, but also for visibility. This accident here was a truck driver. He stopped and actually, my understanding, I talked to one of the investigators that was familiar with this accident. They're very good friends. The truck driver typically came to work in the morning. He made a couple, 2 or 3 runs of delivering stone and then would stop and get coffee. And historically, almost every single day, he would stop there. And then when the loader operator came by, that he would buy coffee for him too and go and give this loader operator, his cup of coffee midday there, keep him awake and, be good friends. And apparently he did that. And the loader operator for some time or some reason this day had the bucket about 5 feet off the ground. He was going about 15 miles per hour. Could not see in front of him. The truck driver assumed he was expecting him to stop to get his coffee, never thought of him not seeing him, and he drove right over him and never even knew he hit him until later and somebody radioed him. Terrible accident. I'm sure that loader operator is going to be the same situation, never want to probably drive that piece of equipment again after doing that. But simple mistake, this operator error of not keeping that bucket low would have, probably saved life here. But also protocols, stopping on the right-hand side and walking across the road is harder for the operator to see instead of pulling out someplace safe. But I know protocols in place is very important. We mentioned distractions earlier. I was guilty of that in my own backyard with Bluetooth radio and AC and this enjoying a nice comfortable seat and being tired, not paying attention to my surroundings. This was another truck driver. He actually stopped to, they're not quite sure why he stopped actually, but to check the brakes on his truck. He actually found a nice straight stretch of the haul road there, pulled over to the side off the road. I'm sure in his mind, bright, middle of day, sunshine, easy to see. It's a nice, obvious place to pull over where it's safe. Climbed under his truck, under a trailer to look at something on the brakes. The loader operator was going, they say very fast. I don't quite know how fast, but they say too fast for that. Using his cell phone same time with a bucket about 6-7 feet off the ground. So he had, I don't know why he's doing that, but like zero visibility, and went right into the back of that tractor trailer, pushed the whole tractor trailer forward and crushed the guy under the rear tires of the trailer as he was laying underneath his own truck there. I believe I didn't follow up. This happened about 2 years ago. I didn't follow up, but I know probably criminal charges being placed in civil court against the loader operator for using his cell phone while doing that. But again, unfortunate accident, but just distractions. Again, cell phones. I do a lot of first aid training, a lot of safety training, like emergency response. Cell phones have revolutionized the whole world of like emergency response. We all have this amazing device, in our pocket or our car that can make calls to first responders any place in the world. In fact, new phones even have satellite uplinks. We can call if there's no cell service and get somebody on site almost immediately to assist us. But in the on the highway insurance industry statistics, it's getting worse every year. But I think last I checked, it's somewhere around 65 to 70% of all highway accidents are directly related to cell phone distractions, whether it be texting, phone calls, using music, whatever you're doing on that. But they are a huge safety feature and probably the worst distraction we've ever had on mine sites in history. Again, if you guys have any questions too, please, chime in here if you have any comments, questions, or stories. You maybe hard to share stories here, but anything you want to add to this, please do. You've probably seen this saying a lot: stay in the cab and stay alive. It's something that has been around forever, at least in the mining side. They've had this slogan for ages. The leading cause of death to contractors statistically on mine sites, and I think especially on mine sites, you have very large equipment, probably larger than a lot of contractors and construction are used to, much bigger loaders, much bigger other trucks and so forth. But the leading cause of accidents, fatalities, is over-the-road truck drivers coming on a mine site, getting loaded by usually a very large piece of equipment. This one is not that large in this fatality, but getting out of their cab, a lot of times just being bored. They want to just walk around, stretch their legs, start walking around the site, and all of a sudden the loader operator, excavator doesn't see them there and backs into them or does something, and they get killed. Your truck is probably your best safety feature on a site. It's this giant big steel box with a roll cage in and seat belts that protects you from everything from impacts to noise to dust to even getting sunburned. I mean, all these things. This cab is a huge big safety box. You can stay in there. And yeah, I know it's annoying. You're tired of sitting all day, but when you're getting loaded, when you're on that site, stay in the cab. It is the best place to be. This one, the guy got out just, I think, to stretch his legs. And the excavator didn't see him there, swung around, just pinned him against the truck there, accidentally didn't see him and caused a fatality. Another thing that's really important in a lot of sites is, if you drive a truck or if you have people coming on your property, whether it be a construction site or a mine site, over-the-road trucks and trailers, they have to tarp, obviously, when they go on the highways. But get a designated spot away from your active area where they can look at their trucks, brush off their hitches or tailgates to get gravel off that. They can check their tarps or fix their tarps if they need to, whatever they need to do. Have a designated spot for that. And there, at least every year in mining, you see a couple fatalities exactly like this one, where this guy got out of his truck to remove a tarp from that or whatever he's doing. And loader operator didn't see him. So yes, you could say, well, loader operator didn't see the truck and backed into it. That's true. He did. He made a mistake. But if the guy was in his cab, that would have been like, whoa, you just hit my truck. And now it's who pays for damage to a fender or something. It's not, a fatality because he was outside truck and got pinned against it. We had a local incident here in Marquette where I do training, where a guy had big company delivering to an iron mines here. They had the gravel trains, 2 end dump trailers. They had to uncouple the pup trailer to dump the other one and so forth and recouple them. And huge mining company here. And they had no staging area to do this. They just did it wherever was convenient. And this guy liked to do it right in the unloading dumping area. And I had this guy in class telling a story. He can't even tell a story without almost breaking up emotionally. He's like, yeah, I had my pup there. I had just unloaded the main trailer. I went to back up and I backed up and got the hitches aligned. I walked back to put a pin in. And he says, literally, my hand was still on the coupler pin when I dropped it in. And the loader operator, this is a huge cat, like a 30-yard loader, so a massive loader, or 25-yard it was, but backed right into his back of his pup trailer, pushed the whole thing feet forward, hit him in the back, actually broke his back. He was in recovery for a few months because of this, but survived it. He got tossed by the impact, tossed away from his own truck. But he says, yeah, it was just, if I had not put that pin in there 1 second earlier, it would have pushed trailers gear and killed me. I'd be dead. But because of the accident, and thankfully he survived, but that next week they changed everything. They created a whole other designated area where they required to do all tarping, all coupling, uncoupling trailers. Yeah, they had to drive an extra 100 feet to uncouple their trailer or so, but it makes the site safe. It changes the whole dynamics by having a safe place to do that. So if you can designate things like one-way traffic too, one-way traffic where you come into a site, a spot on the way in to pull off that's safe, to untarp, a spot on the way out to retarp and like check your tailgate and stuff like that. Those are protocols that don't take much effort, but can make a huge difference in the safety of the whole site and operations in general. So we just talked about making sites. This mine site here did that. They had this really nice pull-off area where trucks can retarp, check their loads before they've headed back on the highway. And these 2 trucks, the guys knew each other. The first one was stopped. He was actually trying to fix a taillight that I think was out. And the guy behind him pulled up, got out of his truck, went to help him diagnose the trouble there. And again, in a hurry, like, it's your friend though. Hey, Joe, like, let me help you with that real quick. Hopped out of his truck. I don't know if I assume it was a manual truck, so must have been a neutral idling there. Forgot to set the parking brake, didn't chock the tires. And as he's helping his friend with his tail light on that trailer, his truck creeped forward and pinned him and killed him between the truck in front of him. I'm sure that truck was barely creeping, half a mile per hour, something like that. Probably didn't make enough noise, didn't even notice it next to the idling engines, and all of a sudden he was pinned there and killed. So you hear these things, especially on mine sites. Work on mine site, wheel chalking is pounded into day after day. It is the most common citation for contractors, is wheel chalking for equipment operators and drivers on mine sites for not chalking tires. But that's because of accidents like this. It's, everybody's like, well, I'm getting out for a second. I've only got to go to the scale house. I've only got to sign in. They don't chalk the tires. But again, every year in mining is a very small industry compared to construction in general. So if we have 2 or 3 this year in mining, there's got to be dozens and dozens in the construction industry of very similar accidents where guys hop out for a second, don't want to chalk the tires, forget about still in gear, or don't set the parking brake, or parking brake's not working, and the vehicle creeps forward and then causes a fatality. So always chalk, just chalk the tires. It's an annoying thing, I realize that. But chalk tires, 2 other fatalities in the past couple of years. The one on the left, the gentleman was doing a pre-op on his truck. So he's doing his due diligence, walking around the truck in the morning, checking it out. I'm assuming he probably drove and parked the truck someplace to do this. Again, didn't set the parking brake, didn't chalk tires. As he's walking around it, it started rolling forward and ran over him and killed him. The one on the right, this was like an off-road articulated truck, if I remember right. He actually stopped for lunch. And according to eyewitnesses, he was literally outside his pickup truck there, eating his lunch, and never noticed, never heard the articulated truck rolling forward slowly, and rolled forward and pinned him against his own pickup truck, caused a fatality. Again, thanks. Well, I park it there every day and nothing happens. It's fine. It's not going to be an issue. And they call this in training, they call it a normalization of a deviation, where what happens is, I don't chalk my tires. It saves me 30 seconds. It's annoying. I don't want to bend over. I've done this for 5 years, and after you do it so long, it becomes normal. You've in your mind said, chalking, I know I'm supposed to do it, but it's not that important. I've done it for 5 years. It's never been an issue. Nothing's bad ever happened, and I don't need to do it anymore. And then something has happened, and then most people look at this accident of the guy eating lunch and like, well, it's just bad luck. It was, bad luck that day. And I think the reality is no, it's not bad luck. The reality, this guy has deviated from a set procedure, and he's been very lucky for 5 years. He's had really good luck for the past 5 years, and today that good luck ran out. And what could happen, he knew might happen, and has happened to all of our people, happened to him, and it was a known preventable accident. So it's not bad luck; it's deviating from procedure, and your good luck not being there that day. Situational awareness. I always like bringing this term up because it really applies to everything. It applies to myself with my JCB excavator upside down in a hole there. I lost that awareness of my surroundings. I lost my awareness of what's going on. This happened. This is a tragic accident. This a lot of people involved in this, and it's you first read it. This lady who was a haul truck driver, she walked under a elevated bucket on a loader, and it lowered suddenly and killed her. And you're like, well, why would you walk there? But some background here. So this loader, nighttime shift, this happened like at, I want to say 3 or 4 in the morning. And they had a short break. Lube truck came around, a fuel truck, to refill the loader with diesel and check it. And when they checked it, they're like, wow, it's low on hydraulic fluid. This loader is never low. There's something wrong. So they called another mechanic over. They started looking at it, and they spent a while doing this. So by now it breaks over. The 3 different haul truck drivers that are working there, you see them in the picture, park their trucks. They're bored. There's nothing to do. They're just waiting for a loader to be fixed, find out what's going on. So same thing any of us would do. They parked there, and they start walk over to one of the trucks and start just chit-chatting. They're standing there in the middle of the night, just talking about whatever's going on there, waiting for them to fix the loader or do something. And they finally say, yeah, we're not going to fix it. We can't get to that leak. We got the backup loader. We're going to call it over. So why don't you guys go back to your trucks and do that? And they were all standing by the truck on the left there. And the one guy just went back in his truck right there. The other guy went behind the loader to the truck you'll see on the behind the loader there. And then the lady who was killed, her truck was just off the picture, just off to the right of that elevated bucket there where she parked it. And she took short line distance, right from where she was talking to her truck, just barely clipped under the corner of that bucket. The mechanic who was playing with or trying to find the leaking loader, decided, yeah, we can't fix it, and decided that moment to lower the bucket quickly. Didn't signal, didn't tap a horn. It had been raised for the past probably 15 minutes as they're investigating it, and that worker just never thought about it. It's dark. There's no bright lights on the bucket. It's a big dark steel object. She has probably never even noticed it, and was just in a hurry to get back to the truck. And the loader operator decided to load it and crushed her and killed her. Again, it's a tragic accident. Something it's easy to look at and be like, how would that happen? It's really her fault. Maybe it is her fault for not maintaining awareness, but it's really everybody's fault. It's that situational awareness of the loader operator. Well, are these people going to walk in front of me? This has been sitting here for a long time, not moving. They're probably not really thinking about moving somebody. I should try to tap my horn before I do this. It's that lady who was killed for not really always giving that wide berth to equipment, making sure you're in a safe zone there. And especially at nighttime, even the mining company, MSHA, when they investigate these, they often issue citations for this, and they were cited for not having enough light on the mine site. The investigator said, yeah, there's a few things happened here, but lack of lighting on the site, it's just pitch black. The trucks are all turned off with no headlights. You can't see anything. And for that lady to really be aware enough to notice that corner of the bucket overhead, you're asking a lot of expectations there when it's that dark and that hard to see on a site like that. One more rollover or crushing accident here. And this, again, that situational awareness, and also that, again, deviating from a set procedure. I guarantee there are set procedures at mine site to stay away from these radial stackers. If you're not familiar with these, are conveyors that pivot around a set point, so they can make an extended stockpile kind of around their processing point there. and they move very slow, about half a mile per hour is what this one moves at. And as the workers walk by here all the time, I guarantee, shortest distance, you got to get around that. Shortest distance is right to the next to those tires, go around the other side of it, and that's how you get point A to point B. And I'm sure there's a minimum clearance recommendation to stay away from that, away from all equipment, but it moves a half mile per hour. What's the big deal? It's not going to come like, run you over quickly. And this is apparently what this person did. He walked right in front of that. When they investigated the accident, what they found happened here was that lack of maintenance on this radial stacker. Has a big chain drive, very long chain drive, and there was a lot of stretch, a lot of slack in that chain. They say actually about a foot and a half of play back and forth as far as the tire rotations in that slack in the chain. And it appears that there was a little bit of undulations in the ground there. And right when the guy walked by, it just pressed a little ridge, and then the gravity pulled the other way in that chain to the slack. It rolled about a foot and a half forward suddenly, probably caught the guy's ankle, foot, whatever, under one of the tires. And as it continued moving that half mile per hour, he wasn't able to get out in time. And then he probably had a very painful death as it slowly ran him over and crushed him. Nobody else saw it. Nobody noticed until actually a bit while later when he was deceased at that point, been run over by it. But again, that this, not following protocols, not being aware of the situation, cutting that, in this case, literally cutting the corner a little bit too close, not following protocols led to fatality there. So those rules we have, a lot of them, I agree, a lot of them do seem kind of silly, but they're in place for a reason. This, it doesn't take that much longer to walk around an extra foot or two, give some margin of safety there. A couple of things here, just as you go through the day. Now, in mine safety, I know OSHA has some similar regulations. We have to do two things. Every time we go to every morning or every shift change, we have to go on the entire work site and do a walkthrough and make sure, they call it a workplace exam. Has to be done before we start work. So nobody's allowed to work until that exam is done. That's to make sure, basic things like the roads are still conditioned. There wasn't a rainstorm overnight that washed out a haul road, or the equipment still has guards in place. All these things that may change from day to day, make sure it's all still intact there. So we do that, but then also, same as like DOT, MSHA, I'm sure OSHA, we have to do a pre-operational or pre-trip, or a lot of different names for it, but a pre-operational check on our piece of equipment or our truck or our tractor trailer before we use it that day. I'm sure all of you have seen, or if you were a driver, you've done it many times. You have those like a DOT or a booklet in your truck, a DOT like a checklist or a booklet where you go through and do a pre-trip inspection, check your taillights, horns, brakes, all these things. And they're annoying. I used to have just a small Freightliner straight frame truck that I used for hauling things, and it was on a DOT. I do the same thing, and it was annoying. It's like this truck. I used it yesterday. It ran fine. Nothing's happened to it. It's going to run fine today. And that temptation to sit there and just sit in the cab and go check is so tempting to do that. But not only is that technically not legal in some cases, but it's dangerous. I think if I make a mistake and turn signal's not working, or the backup alarm doesn't work, big deal. I'll catch it next time. But a couple things on that. Remember, when you go to a mine site or a construction site, when you drive there, everybody is assuming that you did the proper pre-check on your truck. And so they're assuming, which rightfully so, that things like lights work, backup alarms work. So they're, have the assumption that when you go back up to a site or a location, it's going to work because you did your pre-trip. That was your job to have that done. And when it doesn't, then you have things, you cause injuries, fatalities. Another thing, remember that. You can remember with that is, you can get a penalty from MSHA, or I'm not sure what OSHA, how they cite those, but MSHA, you'll get or like mining company will get a citation and a penalty for doing improper pre-trips or not doing them. But if you do those, if you sign them, which you're signing a legal document, and do a poor job, and then finds out something was not done properly and it caused an accident, not only are you going to be in trouble with MSHA or OSHA, you're going to be in civil court facing penalties and probably, even jail time in some cases. There are quite a few mining cases. There's a case right now I'm very familiar with that we talked about a lot, with a lifting rigging accident where the guy knew the crane was defective. He knew there was issues. He bypassed safety features. He'd done it many times, thinking, it's a quick job, won't matter. And he killed somebody. The cable failed, dropped the hook ball on somebody and killed him. And he's in jail right now. He went to jail for almost a year for doing that, for knowingly falsifying a pre-operational check on that crane. And that can happen to all of us. And that's, not only is it dangerous, but even from personal stance, it's a very risky, very poor thing to do there. So do your pre-trips, do them right, spend time, if you can do those in 90 seconds, you're not doing them. They should take many minutes to do them right and to do them properly there. Another things we can do, establish protocols, working around equipment, especially with new employees, especially younger generation employees. We have, all these baby boomers are ones that have been there for a while. The new ones are coming into work sites, make sure they understand they didn't grow up on a farm like a lot of the, people my age did. They didn't grow up even like mowing grass in the front yard. They have lawn care service, they have newer cars, they don't have a lot of skill sets that some of us did and older people did growing up. So don't expect them to have this understanding knowledge of equipment. It's not that I hate that term common sense. It's not that they lack common sense or lack intelligence. It's common sense is accumulation of skills, of our experiences. If we haven't had experiences, we definitely don't have common sense around equipment. So don't expect people to have that common sense. That term is a very dangerous term to use, because I really believe common sense, again, is a accumulation of skills and so forth of what we learned. A couple more things real quick here. Like about a couple minutes left here. Horn taps, a great protocol to have on mine sites, construction sites. But I want to show you one thing here. You probably have all done this or seen these. I made this quick scenario 10-step of what you do before you move vehicle. This may be different based on the vehicle, but this is a generic one for like maybe a over-the-road truck. Walk around the vehicle, move trucks, get in the vehicle, put on your seatbelt, start the engine, release the brakes, put the vehicle in gear, check mirrors, and then tap the horn and move the vehicle. This is what we're taught over and over. I think this is terribly wrong. Make one small change here. We got 10 steps. This change does not make it any quicker, any slower. Number of steps. You may not even notice it right away. But if you notice tap the horn, where is it? It's number 6. What does that do? And it's hard to get feedback here, but what does that do? How's that change the scenario? If we tap the horn as we're driving away, we're basically warning the person in front of us that we're going to kill you in about a second from now. There's no time to react. That defeats the whole purpose. If you have a horn tap, do it, start the engine, but before you put in gear, before you check your mirrors, before you take the parking brake off, whatever your protocol is, put it a few steps back. Give that chance of a few seconds. Even 2 or 3 seconds is enough time for somebody to yell or jump out of the way or do something or let you know that, hey, I'm here. Don't move the vehicle. It's a huge change that it can save a life, and it takes us no more time. I don't know why, but inherently as humans, we tend to want to be in a hurry all the time. But for some reason, I see it all the time on mine sites where they're tapping the horn as they're pulling the car away. It doesn't save you any time. You're still multitasking. You can multitask that horn tap while you're putting the car in gear at the same time. And just give that a couple seconds there to react. One more thing, backup alarms. Then we'll probably be done for a day. And you're going to say, well, backup alarms, it's just stupid. We've had these for 20 years on mine sites. And yes, I agree. And in the past few years, probably some of you have seen what we're calling the white noise backup alarms. These are a little bit different. And every time I train a class, it's a joke. I always get some culprit in class and like, those things sound stupid. That's ridiculous. Those are retarded. I don't want my equipment to sound that way. I like the beep beep noise. It's been beep beeping for 20 years. Why change it? And I used to work construction. I guarantee you on a mine site, all of you would probably agree with me that after about 5 minutes on a mine site or a job site, there's so many beep beeps all the time. They don't even care anymore. They're loud, they're obnoxious, they're unidirectional. I can't tell where they're coming from. It's just constant noise, and I'm not even caring anymore. The white noise alarms. I'll play you the video here in 1 second. Huge difference. One, they are extremely directional. You can barely hear them as you on the video. If you're not right behind a machine, you almost don't hear them. This is my JCB loader I use for snow plowing, and every year I laugh at myself. I scare myself to death because it's got the backup alarm on there, and I'm plowing, doing something. Also, I'm back up like to my garage door, and all of a sudden there's this big, like, really weird noise. Like, what the heck was that? I'm like, oh, it's the backup alarm, but I can hear it because it's reflecting off the garage door, and I hear it in the cab. But when I'm driving, normally I can't hear my own backup alarm. It's so directional. I don't know what's going off, and it's funny because it almost it scares me when I hear it sometimes. A lot of cities have started requiring these because this for disturbance, garbage trucks at 2 in the morning if you're in garbage, because it's only limited, at least it's only affecting a small area, not the whole block when they're going off. Let me play this. And again, these sound different. If you never heard one, they're going to sound really stupid, but who cares if it sounds stupid? It's a life-saving device. It doesn't cost any money, but if you upgrade machines, like new machines, just change into a white noise backup alarm. It's a huge change there. And I'll let Pete start a video here in a minute, and then we'll finish up here. Can you start that one? I can't do it here. Okay, there you go. Thank you. So you hear the engine running now. And when she puts it in reverse, you hear the backup alarm. Walk out the back here. It's very loud. Walk around to the side, around the front. You hear the noise pretty much disappears. At this point, I can still hear it, but the engine noise is much louder than the alarm noise. If I get even farther away from it, really the backup alarms becomes kind of hard to pick out the background noise. So that's a quick demonstration. That's my JCB. That's after it went in the hole, so it is running again. It was a while ago. But yeah, when I bought that machine, it had the high pitched beep beep alarm, and it would drive me crazy. It would drive my neighbors crazy. I'm snow plowing, you know, at 6 in the morning. And I switched to that white noise, and like I say, I cannot hear that in the cab. When that is going off, I cannot hear it to the point where it's funny. It actually scares me when I back up something. I hear the reflection noise back on me. So a minor change that cost me, I think, $75 for that backup alarm, but $75 is a tiny amount of investment that can really make a huge difference on a job site, on a mine site, and probably make, actually, if you have a quarry or a construction site in town, even the neighbors, lack of complaints or the reduced complaints from those backup alarms will be enough right there just to make it a better option for you there. So I think I'm out of time, but hey, I appreciate you guys listening. It's kind of hard with no direct feedback here, kind of just me lecturing to you guys, but hopefully it was some useful information there. Hopefully it went through things pretty quickly there. And I talk fast, I apologize to begin with, so hopefully it was understandable there too. But thank you guys, and maybe we'll see you again next week. Back to Pete here.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Really appreciate it. Very
You're
informative. We had one question on the slides. Would you be willing to share the slides?
Absolutely, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So we'll share the slides with the post-event evaluation or post-event email communication we send out. So you see a link to that.
And the other thing there too, to interrupt you, Pete, sorry,
right.
every slide there, except for that one with the like order of operations for horn taps, those are all from the AMSHA website. Those are just basically screen captures off the AMSHA website for the fatalities. So any fatalities information there is available. It's all there. And actually there's whole like multiple page explanations of the accident too, if you want more details for training. It's a great resource there. So.
All right, I appreciate everyone's attention. We'll stick around for a few minutes here, make sure everybody has a chance to fill out the evaluation. And if any questions happen to come up, we'll address them before we close the room. But we'll give you a minute or so warning before we shut the room down.